In the heart of the Scottish Highlands, the year was 1820, and life couldn't have been simpler for Eleanor MacPherson. Her days were spent tending to her family's farm, and her evenings were spent beside the hearth with her husband, Angus. That was until a mysterious force transported her to the present day. Eleanor found herself standing in the middle of a bustling city far different than anything she had ever known. Cars whizzed past her on the streets, people stared at her strange clothing, and technology overwhelmed her. She tried to make sense of everything, but it all seemed too much for her. As she wandered aimlessly through the city streets, a kind-hearted stranger eventually approached her. He asked if she was lost and offered to help her. Eleanor gratefully accepted, still trying to come to terms with what had happened to her. The stranger explained that she had somehow been transported through time, and it was highly unlikely that she could return to her own time. Eleanor was devastated. She was separated from the only life she had ever known, and the thought of never going back was almost too much to bear. The stranger, whose name was Jack, took Eleanor under his wing and slowly began to introduce her to the modern world. She learned about cars, the internet, and even how to use a cell phone. Although these things were difficult for her to understand, she felt grateful to Jack for his kindness and patience. Despite everything, Eleanor's heart ached to return to her own time. She often thought of Angus, her family, and everything she had left behind. Jack tried to reassure her that everything would be okay, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was meant to be somewhere else. One day, Jack took Eleanor to visit an old witch who lived on the outskirts of the city. The witch examined Eleanor carefully and said that she had a powerful magic of her own but needed to learn its secrets. The witch gave her a charm that would help her go back in time. Filled with new hope, Eleanor clutched the charm tightly and closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was standing in the same spot she had disappeared from so many years ago. Angus was right in front of her, and he looked just as bewildered as she felt. Overcome with emotion, Eleanor hugged her husband tightly. She had made it back home. She told Angus everything that had happened, and though he didn't fully understand where she had been, he listened carefully and embraced her. Eleanor never forgot her time in the future, and she continued to long for the same excitement and wonder she had experienced while there. But for now, she was grateful to be back home with Angus, surrounded by the simple life she had always cherished. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.